Hello and welcome back to the Susana Gibb Show. This is Susana, and on the podcast with me today is Simone Knego. And this was actually really exciting for me as a podcaster because she reached out to me, her team reached out to me, and she fits perfectly in everything that we've been doing this year. So I'm excited to let you get to meet her. I'm going to let her introduce herself in a minute. And last thing before we get started, our podcast is sponsored by Gibb Insurance Services, which is the insurance agency, which you may not think. What does an insurance agency and mindset coaching have to do with each other? And guys, I'm going to tell you, running a business is challenging, and I think a lot of people would say the same thing. And so we use a lot of these tools when we are trying to come up with the amazing ways to talk to you about insurance and service your policies. So I personally am excited to hear what she has to say. And thank you again for listening in. And Simone, thank you for being with me today. You have a lot of things after your name of what you do. How do you introduce yourself to people? What do you say?
I typically say I'm a mom of 6. I've been married to my husband for 32 years, almost 33 years.
Wow.
And I'm a keynote speaker, author, podcast host, and empowerment coach for women.
So what part of the world are you in?
I'm in Sarasota, Florida.
Sarasota, Florida. Okay. Have you always lived there?
We've been here for 25 years now. So the longest I've been anywhere.
And where did you grow up?
Buffalo, New York.
Buffalo, New York. So if you could, and I realize I'm totally putting you on the spot, but do you have a story from your childhood growing up that kind of resonates with where you are today and maybe gives some insight into why you do what you do?
So when I was little, I always wanted to be an actor, and that was my thing. And it's not like I actually did acting, which is funny. I mean, yes, we did school plays, but like the idea of being on TV and so we used to do, I would go over to my neighbor's house and they would turn on records. Diana Ross was a big one. And we would, pretend to sing. And then I would introduce the whole thing and tell the whole story about what we're doing today. And it's funny because I haven't thought about that in a while, but that's what I do now, right? Especially as a podcast host, I'm like introducing and talking. And I did not go into acting. I went into accounting.
It's like the opposite of acting.
Well, I was supposed to be a doctor. Like that was the plan. My mom's a doctor. My dad was a doctor. My sister's a doctor. And I failed organic chemistry in college and then got a D. And I said, yeah, now I can go into acting. And my dad said, you're good at math. You're going to go into accounting. And I said, okay. And that's what I did. And I used it for a couple of, I still use it, but I worked in accounting for a couple of years and then changed my mind many times after that.
So how did you switch from accounting to become a mindset empowerment? Do you call yourself a mindset coach, empowerment coach?
I call myself an empowerment coach. I mean, most of the things we talk about are mindset, but empowerment coach. So I did many things in between. I ran a horse farm. I taught riding lessons and created a summer camp. I went back to school to be a teacher. I went into medical sales. I mean, I did so many different things. And actually, it was after medical sales that I started speaking. Yeah. So, I mean, I taught riding lessons. I created I created a summer camp. I went back to school to be a teacher. I went into medical sales, and then I started doing some volunteer work. And through that volunteer work, I was asked to share my story at an event. And I said, what do you mean share my story? Like, I don't have a story. Like, you have an amazing story. You have 6 kids. You adopted your youngest 3. Like, there's so many things that you've done. And that was when I realized that, oh, wow, I do have a story. I mean, I doubted myself so bad for years. And on that stage, I realized how powerful words are and how you can really change someone's mind. You can really help someone see themselves differently with words. And so that's where I started. I started on a volunteer basis and then started speaking and getting paid to speak, and then started the podcast with my daughter a couple of years ago, and then, and started coaching as well.
I'm super excited to talk to you about your podcast with your daughter because I think that sounds so amazing. But as far as, thinking about being a mindset coach, how do people find you, and are people really good about saying my mindset is messed up, right?
Oh, gosh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, People find me word of mouth. I mean, that's basically it. I work with some people and then they tell other people.
That's it. What do they say
Yeah.
though? They're like, "Oh, I feel so much better," or "My attitude is so much better." Like,
Yeah, I mean, they say that they feel comfortable in their skin, like they're able to use their voice again. There's a lot of different things that they say. And, that is mindset. But do people come up and say, my mindset sucks? No, right? Nobody wants to say that they're struggling with something. So it's more like, how can I help with life in general? I think that's more of the approach because, and especially if you talk confidence, people get very uncomfortable saying that they're not confident, even though they know they're not confident. So it's more of, okay, what do you need in your life versus I'm going to fix your confidence.
mm-hmm. That makes sense. Is there any common themes that you work with people on that you hear people say? So I'm just trying to think about, like, if I'm somebody who potentially is struggling in these areas of confidence and mindset, and maybe I haven't even realized what the issue is. Is there a common phrase? And I don't know if this is one, but it made me think about when I was trying to come up with this question. There was many, many moons ago when I was in the process of starting one job and I had to take another restaurant job while I was working this out. And my trainer, I said a couple times, I said, I just was beating myself up a lot. I was like, God, I'm so dumb. I'm so dumb. And finally the trainer went, hey, maybe give yourself a break, right? But you don't notice the words that you're saying to yourself until maybe somebody says, hey, you realize you say that a lot. Do you find that there's common phrases like that that you hear from people that you're changing how they speak to themselves?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not ready. I'm not ready for this. Or nobody listens to me. My voice doesn't matter. I mean, so there's a lot of common phrases. And yeah, I mean, how we talk to ourselves, how we talk about ourselves changes everything, right? I mean, who wants to wake up every morning and say, I'm horrible, I'm gross, whatever, like I'm going to have the worst day ever. Do you really want to do that? But that's what we do, right? We treat ourselves so differently than we treat our best friend. We would never talk to our best friend the way we talk to ourselves. We need to be our own best friend because we are going to live with ourselves for the rest of our lives. Like, why should we treat ourselves like crap? Like, let's treat ourselves with the respect that we deserve.
Can you elaborate on a little bit on the I'm not ready for this? What does that mean?
Oh, so, I'm not ready for anything, right? So, uh, taking on something new, applying for a different job, um, deciding that you're going to go do a 5K when you've never run before, right? Anything that is a little bit uncomfortable is the I'm not ready. Oh, I'm not ready. I'll do that next year, right? I'll think about it in the future. And, it's basically an excuse, and you're saying to yourself that you're not good enough to do it,
Hmm.
which is not true, right? It's that self-belief that we need to build.
Interesting. Okay. How do you balance and I'm going to stick with the I'm not ready for this theme.
Mm.
So the 5K, and you've never run before, right? Well, I'm not ready to run the 5K. So what's the next step? Do you like, okay, I'm going to run the 5K, but I need to do the things to get ready for it versus, because there is like you can't just go out and run. Like, you can't run a marathon the next day, right? Like, you have to train.
Yeah.
So how do you get a balance between, like, well, I'm really not quite ready for it, and I'm not ready for this as a crutch?
Okay. So you're going to pick a date in the future and you're going to register for an event 6 months from now. And it's on the books now, like you are doing it. And then you're taking baby steps every single day. So maybe you walk down the street the first day. And then maybe, then it turns into you walk a mile and then you walk the whole 5K. And then you start jogging a little bit. Like when I started, I ran for a bit and until I had to have knee surgery. So this is a great example for me. But, you would run for a minute, walk for 2 minutes, run for a minute, walk for 2 minutes, and just do that until you build it up. And then the best part about it is that you see yourself getting stronger and stronger, right? If you go out and try to do a 5K tomorrow, right, it's going to be really difficult. I mean, you'll probably finish it if you're walking, but you're going to hurt and you're going to say, this is something I'm never going to do again because you weren't prepared, right? I think such a big part of building confidence is making sure that we're prepared in our life. And it's like, for me going out speaking somewhere, like if I haven't reviewed my speech, I am definitely not going to feel good about myself when I get out on that stage. But if I've practiced and practiced, if I mess up, nobody's going to know that I messed up. The only person is me. So if I practice and practice, then I keep going.
What about the one that you mentioned about, I think you said waking up today's not going to be a good day, something of that nature. How do you work with that one? Because I'm going to tell you, I'm guilty of that one sometimes. And my response is like, well, let's just maybe have some coffee before we decide whether it's going to be a good day or bad day. But then I think, well, maybe I need to be doing some work on the front end. So how do you guys?
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's all about, how you start your day, and it's positive affirmations. And I would tell you that years ago, I would have said, no, like that doesn't work. But I've been doing them for 10 years now, and I can tell you that they work. And it's not something you do one time and then you stop. It's like, do you go to the gym one time and now you're super buff and then you never have to go again? No. I mean, when you're working on your mindset, it's a practice, right? You do it every single day. And so when I wake up in the morning, like this morning is an example. I did not sleep well last night, and I am in the middle of my, I call it book launch season. I have about 10 weeks until my book comes out, and I have so much work to do about asking people to buy it and asking for sponsorships. And, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just want to stay in bed. And then I'm like, no, you're going to get up and it's going to be a great day. Yes, there's going to be bumps in the day, but these are the things that you're going to get done today. Don't look at everything and freak out because there's so much to get done. It's like, look at these couple of things. If you get these 2 things done, and I picked really small things because I didn't sleep and I've already finished them. So like that to me sets me up for success. Even if I know I'm going to have like bad moments during the day, it's really talking myself up and saying, you know what? You accomplished these 2 things. You are successful today. Move on. Don't worry about anything else.
Interesting. Do you leave yourself little notes, or you just kind of have prepped what you're doing in the morning when you say you work on affirmations every day?
So, yeah, I mean, I have affirmations on my mirror, like I'm strong, I am capable, I am more than enough. Like depending on what I need, I change it up. But yeah, I mean, every single morning in the mirror, that my kids used to laugh at me. They're like, oh, here she goes again, going to talk to herself in the mirror. But you know what? I see them doing it now too, right? When they need something, they're like, I'm really struggling today. I'm like, try it. Keep doing it.
How often do you change your affirmations?
So I have my core, and then I add just depending on what's going on in my life. So if I have a big speech coming up, I create an affirmation around how I'm going to rock it on stage. And, it really does help because we can get so caught up in the negativity, right? And there's a research study out of Queen's University in Canada that they were kind of mapping the brain and figuring out how many things, thoughts you have every single day. And I mean, there's lots of studies on the number of thoughts, but this one was 6,200 thoughts, and 85% of them are negative, 95% are repetitive. Is that not crazy? Yeah. So like that same negative thought on repeat, and that's why it's so important that we're aware of what's happening. And so I created a little mindset hack. It has a very creative title. It's Control Alt Delete. Oh. So back in the day, that was how we would reset a frozen computer. Mm-hmm. Now it brings up Task Manager. I don't know what Task Manager does. I guess it manages your tasks. I have no idea. But So, but sometimes our brains freeze too, right? We spiral in self-doubt, we get caught in the comparison game. And so control is about awareness, right? As soon as those thoughts hit, you're like, oh my gosh, is it real? Right? Is it helpful? No. I call it the what if whisperer. Like, what if you fail? What if they judge you? What if you're, not good enough for this? And so that awareness piece is so important throughout our day. And then next part is alt, which is alternative. Tell yourself a better story. Instead of telling yourself that you can't do something, it's yes, I can, watch me. And instead of what if I fail, how about when I succeed? Right? I mean, it's all in how we say things to ourselves because your thoughts become your reality. If you think you're going to have a crappy day, most likely you are going to have a crappy day because you're going to make yourself believe that it's going to be crappy. Okay. And then finally, delete the habits and beliefs that don't serve you. Delete the comparison game, delete the apology, delete the belief that you're not enough, delete the idea of waiting until you feel ready, right? I mean, what we were talking about before, because this is what I love to say about waiting until you feel ready is like waiting for IKEA instructions to actually make sense. It is not gonna happen. Okay? You have to take action anyways, right? So I think about it that way.
So you mentioned your kids a minute ago laughing at you doing their affirmations, but now they're doing where the daughter that does the podcast with you, where is she in the order of children?
So she is the third. Yeah, she's the third and she's the youngest biological child.
Got it. Okay. How did she come to be are you her sidekick or is she
That's a good question.
right?
I'll have to ask her that.
Who started?
Yeah, so we really started together. So we always had these really, intense conversations. And when she was 16, she was diagnosed with Crohn's, and really kind of helping her move forward from that diagnosis kind of made us talk about like, ooh, this could probably help other people, right? So when she was diagnosed, like her dream was to eat around the world, like eat in every country around the world, right? And she's like, I won't be able to do that anymore. I was like, okay, yes, you will. Okay, take a step back. So the first thing I said to her was that you can't stuff down your emotions. You have to feel them, right? But you can't get stuck there. So the idea was, scream about it, cry about it, be angry, and then pick a date and move forward. And that was like key for her moving forward because I'm like, otherwise you get stuck there forever. Like you can stay in that state of being so upset and being so negative for the rest of your life if you choose to do that. But you can choose to move forward, and she's done an amazing job with that. And so that's really how the podcast started, was through that conversation of saying, like, how do you want to move forward? And so we just recorded another episode this morning, but we drop an episode every Tuesday. And it's just been so fun because we do every other week. It's just the two of us, and then we have a guest on the following week.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, so we get to have very personal conversations, whatever we're dealing with in the moment, whatever we want to talk about. And yeah. For example, one of our episodes, we were talking about anxiety. And I was like, well, I just get nervous about things. And she's like, okay, you have anxiety. Your anxiety gives me anxiety. And I was like, there we go. Okay. So it's been really great for her growth, for my growth. And, the title of the podcast is Her Unshakable Confidence. And the goal was to get her there quicker than I did. And it's definitely working. I mean, she's a second-year law student, and she said in class recently, they get called on and they have to stand up and tell everything they know about whatever case they're talking about. And someone said to her, you always seem so confident when you get up there. How do you do that? And she said, I have a podcast with my mom. It really taught me to think on my feet.
Aw,
So, yeah, it was cute.
what a great way to spend time with her. That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, 1 out of 6 are willing to do it, right? I mean, my oldest daughter came on the podcast once and she said, oh my God, that was the most horrible thing. Like, I can't understand why you guys like that. Like, you have to think so quickly. I don't want to do that.
My kids, I I start the sentence with, "Oh, I saw this study," and they literally, their eyes cannot roll back to the back of their head fast enough. And they're like, "Oh, mom's turning this into a life lesson." That's like
Mm-hmm.
their favorite. Their
Yep.
favorite. Um, so wow, that was that was a lot in that whole thing. So that you have the 3 biological and then the 3 that you adopted.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. You're a busy household.
Yeah, I mean, not so busy anymore because I'm almost an empty nester.
Oh.
My youngest daughter is a senior in high school, and my oldest son actually got married last summer, and they're expecting. So I'm going to be a grandmother soon, which is very exciting.
Oh my gosh, how exciting. Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
So let's pivot. I want to talk about your brand new book that you have coming because it sounds like you're in the like ramp up phase of this.
Mm.
How long did it take you to write? How long did it take you to find your publisher? If you could talk a little bit about that process, because I know that a lot of people dream, myself included, of writing a book. So yeah, talk about it. You did it. Good job.
Okay, this is book number 2. So
Amazing.
it's called Real Confidence: A Simple Guide to Go from Unsure to Unshakable. And I am super excited for this book to come out. So it comes out February 17th. And I picked the book is specifically written for women and very, very vulnerable, very personal. And it is all about my real method, which is, to help women build confidence from the inside out, which stands for respect yourself, embrace your failures, ask yourself what you want, and live without limits. And I wanted a publisher. I wanted a publisher who was a woman. And so I went with Copper Books, and she's fantastic. Allison Trowbridge, she's fantastic. Highly recommend her if you want to write a book.
Okay.
Because not only, like, it's her company. So she takes everything very personally. Like, she wants to put out really high quality work. She doesn't just publish anybody that comes. And so even when she read through my first draft, she said to me, I think your stories can be stronger. Like, you really have to put yourself out there. So I had a story about an abusive boyfriend in high school that really kind of put me on my self-doubt trajectory. And she's like, I need to see it. Like, when I read it, I need to see the moments. Right.
Mm.
And I had to reach pretty deep on that one. But I did. And I'm really happy with how it turned out. But it wouldn't have gone that way if I hadn't worked with her. So, but it took me about 3 years to write this book. The first book I wrote in a year. That one's called The Extraordinary Unordinary You, all about realizing what you're capable of and recognizing that the little things you do every day matter. And, part of that was written in 2020. So I had all this time. Everybody came home and we had nothing to do other than play games. So I wrote in the chaos, and that brought back like some of the best stories for me I hadn't thought about in a long time. But that chaos brought it all back to me.
I'm reading Bird by Bird by Anne Lamott. Have you heard of this?
Mm-mm.
I heard about her earlier this year, but this particular book is about writing.
Mm.
Not about any stories, but it's about the act of writing and what the act of writing does for us. And it's I'm enjoying it so much, but writing is, she's like, you write for yourself, you write for other people, but you write because it's amazing. And anyway, enough about Bird by Bird, but
Yeah.
it talks a lot about like, oh, I do love to write. This is why I like to write. It's about sharing ideas. How, so with your deal with, going back to you, sorry, enough about that one. So your publisher, do you have space in bookstores? Or are you guys going more grassroots? Because there's obviously, you can't just write it, right? Like, you got to market it now. You got to get out there and you got to do stuff like this and kiss babies and shake hands and all the things, right?
Pretty much. And so that's what I'm working on now, is reaching out to every human that I know to ask for their support, right? I mean, we've all touched other lives in some ways. And what I've found is that people really want to help. But if they don't know about it, they can't help you, right?
Yeah.
So it's making that outreach to say, here's what I have going on and would love your support in any way, right? And one of the other things I'm doing is with my book launch events, I'm raising money. I'm giving all the profits to local women's organizations. So partnering with them and also asking people to buy a book for themselves and buy a book for the organization so that more people can get the message, more people can read it, the women that really need it. And so that's been a different approach. That last time I wrote the book and I thought, oh, if you write it, they will come. No, they won't. No, they won't. But the marketing part is almost harder than the writing of the book, right? I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but it's because you finish this and like it's really good and then nothing happens. So like you have to wear so many different hats to go through it. And so I learned a lot on book 1 and I'm learning a lot on book 2.
Interesting. Do you have a book 3 working inside? Because I think that's part of the question, right? Your publisher is like, oh yeah, what's next? What's next?
Yeah. I have another book that is a leadership book,
Nice.
kitchen table leadership. So we'll see if it comes to fruition.
Do you find when you do your speaking engagements that people want to talk to you about your books, or do you sell more books? Is it chicken egg? Does the book deal get you the speaking gigs, or does the speaking gig sell your books?
It's both. So having a book makes you much more approachable for speaking gigs because a lot of event planners like to, first of all, there's credibility in it. And second of all, they like to have something that they give to the attendees. Some don't do that part, but they ask you to bring your books to sell. And that's always really, that really goes over well. So it works both ways.
You mentioned earlier when you were talking about getting prepped for a keynote. What do you do the few seconds before they say your name and you walk on the stage, right? So you're waiting off on the side. Are you? And a lot of people I ask, they're like, "Oh, I'm just, I'm ready to go." I'm like, "No, but what are you doing? Are you breathing? Are you practicing positive self-talk? Are you just grounded and centered? What do you do?"
I do 3 things. So yes, I do my breathing exercises. That's usually the last thing I do. First thing I do is I do my voice exercises. So I make all kinds of weird noises, whatever it is that I need to. And people are like, what is she doing? Well, I mean, I'm making sure my voice has to last for an hour. And so I want to make sure that it is in the best place it can be right before I go on. Then I say my positive affirmations, like, you've got this, like, the material, like, they're here to listen to you speak, right? And then the last part is the breathing so that I'm like calm right before I walk on.
Gotcha. Do you enjoy the speaking? Do you like it?
I really do. It's so funny because I know that I was talking to someone yesterday on a podcast and they said that, and I know this, that public speaking is people's number one fear. And it's ahead of their fear of death, which is crazy to me, right?
That's interesting.
Yeah. So people do not like it. I mean, my husband is a physician and he is scared to death of public speaking. Even for my book launch event, he's like, am I going to have to speak? And I was like, yes. He's like, oh my gosh, Simone, no. I'm like, I'll write the speech for you. Or I know, 32 years down the toilet because you're making me speak. Yeah, I was like, I'll write the speech for you. He's like, can you say it for me too? I was like, no, I cannot.
So a lot of times this year, because we're recording this and it's December 18th and it's the end of the year and it's the beginning of a new year, do you work with people on is goal setting, resolution setting part of what you do with people?
Yeah, I mean, definitely we work on goal setting and resolutions. I'm a big believer in, it's just like the IKEA instructions, do it now, right?
No.
Don't wait for a specific date because that kind of gives us an excuse to keep a bad habit or to say, oh, I'm not ready yet. So like that's that whole dragging on of things. I mean, for a lot of people, January 1st works, but do they actually keep it? Not necessarily. I want to say that I think I read the other day that people only 9% of people who make New Year's resolutions actually keep them. So, and I think also because it's a little arbitrary. We're like, okay, new year, new you, we're going to change everything up. And that's great. But be realistic in your goals, right? So don't say, okay, I'm going to start at the gym and I'm going to go 5 days a week. Why don't you start with 1 day a week? If you haven't gone in 5 years, start with 1 day a week. Because as soon as you miss a day, then you're like, oh, I failed. Oh, no point in going back again, you know? So I think it's so important that we are very realistic with the goals that we set so that it's not high pressure, right? It's kind of like, don't go from 0 to 100, like go from 0 to 5 and then keep moving forward from there. And then you'll get to 100. But if you go from 0 to 100, you wipe yourself out from the beginning.
One of the times I found one of my they weren't necessarily it was a year-end reflection from 2024 that I found. I was like, oh, it felt like such a gift, because part of my problem is I make goals and then I write them somewhere and I lose them. And then I'm like, oh, that was my goal. What did I say I was going to do? What do you do with them? Do you put them on the mirror? How do you keep track? Okay, this is a multi-question.
Mm-hmm.
How many is healthy? Where do people keep track of them? And how important is celebrating?
Okay. So, I mean, I really think you start with one goal, right? You start with one, and you might have like 50 things you want to do this year, but prioritize what's the most important to you, right? Because otherwise, I think we set ourselves up for failure as well. I write anything important on a pink piece of paper. That way I never lose it. And it's my life hack, because there are white pieces of paper all over my house, but if I see a pink one, I know that that is mine. That is, whether it's a resolution or my to-do list, like that's mine. And then where do I keep it? I keep it hung up in my office. I think that's the easiest place. Like I have a cork board that it's just, so I always remember. You know, everybody has so many things going on. So you want to put it somewhere where you're going to see it, but that you're also, you know, going to refer back to it, right? I mean, sometimes people will put it on their fridge. My fridge doesn't, you can't put magnets on. So unless I tape it to it, you're not going to see it. And celebration is huge. Every little step you celebrate, like, you know, you got out of bed at 8 o'clock this morning, whatever your goal was, celebrate that, right? I mean, we don't need to wait for, oh my gosh, I did everything. Celebrate every little thing that you do, because again, that puts you in a different mindset when you're like, oh wow, I accomplished a lot. We were talking about how, my daughter and I were talking about how when people get to the end of the year, they think, oh my gosh, there's so many things I didn't get done. But how about look at what you did get done instead? And then you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I got a lot done this year, right? But we tend to do that at the end of each day too. Oh, I didn't get it all done. No, that's what tomorrow's for. Stop stressing.
How do you suggest people celebrate? Because I'm an adventure guess. At least for me, champagne, it's hard to do at 8 a.m. in the morning. It's probably not my best idea is to celebrate with champagne, even though that is my first thought. Champagne. I've done it. Let's celebrate.
Yeah. So a jar, write down what you accomplished, put it in the jar. And then you keep seeing it build and build and build. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I did so many things.
I love that. It is visual. It is satisfying. It is an action. That's genius. They should pay you to be a mindset coach.
Thank you so much. And yes, I mean, trust me, I like celebrating with champagne or wine, but you're right, not at 8 o'clock in the morning. So the jar works really well. And again, you can't forget then, because it's sitting right there where you're like, oh, wow, look at all those pieces of paper building up in there. And I've done a lot.
And have I put anything in my jar today? What am I doing for me to meet what I need to do and what I love that. That's great. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Simone, how can people find you if they want to find you?
So my website, SimoneKnego.com, SimoneKnego. And I'm the only Simone Knego in the world. So even if you spell my name wrong, you should find me. Okay. My book you can find at realconfidencebook.com. It's available for pre-order now, and there's a bunch of pre-order bonuses.
Ooh,
and then
thanks.
Yes. And on social media, there's you can just search Simone Knego and you will find me. I also have to people who want to listen to my voice. I I'm giving away the audiobook from my first book, The Extraordinary Unordinary You, and you can get that at extraordinary.simonekinego.com/book. And I guess we can put that in the show notes if that's okay with you.
Yes, of course. That's so great. How did you like recording your book?
It was hard.
It is a lot of work, isn't it?
Yeah, it's hard because, what your brain sees isn't always what you say. So when we're reading something, we tend to skip words, right? Because we're like, oh, we're reading. But it was that attention to every detail. And again, I learned a lot from that too, about how much more expressive I want to be on my next book versus how I did the first one.
I did. I recorded one audiobook, and I got, because as you were talking about warming up your voice earlier, I'm in Texas and I've relaxed my accent now. I don't work super hard, but as I was recording in about hour 2, they were like, hey, you're slipping into Texas again. You're slipping. And it was just the musculature of my mouth was getting so tired.
Yeah. It's exhausting. It really is. It's rewarding, but it's exhausting.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. Well, congratulations on your new book. And I appreciate you being with me today. I have one. Don't go anywhere, but I'm going to end the podcast right now. And thank you again for being with me.
Thanks so much.
Okay.